Jammy boy, how's it going? I know this is a bit of a late reply. In YouTube land, time moves kind of fast. I hear ya with the whole face on cam jibe. I can't put my face on cam because of my job. I'd be restricted to making videos about kittens, basically. Anyway, you said I'm being idealistic. The fact that technology improves over time is a fact. I'm sure you agree with that. I'm saying people don't seem to be factoring that in when they talk about the topic of overpopulation. And improvements will come with all power technologies. I probably didn't present that well. So green technologies will also improve. Solar cell efficiency will go up, wind turbine efficiency will go up, conventional power efficiencies will go up. Often though, the improvements only come when there's price pressure. So if you look at automobile engines in the United States and Europe, the European ones are more efficient because petrol prices are higher. It's only when conventional fuel becomes scarce and prices rise that industry is going to put the money into innovation. Yeah, it's often only when we are staring into the abyss that we pull our fingers out of our asses. The reason I picked fusion was because it's the end game, if you like. When people talk about resource limits, fusion would make power supply pretty much unlimited. But yeah, all of the other power technologies will improve too. So let's remember that when we're slipping into this overpopulation angst that we seem to have on YouTube. You asked, what can we do now? I'm not sure how now you mean. Next week, next year. We have to plan, and actually we do plan, in the UK at least. California didn't plan, and that's why their lights are going out. The UK is pretty good. Not at long-term planning. No government is good at long-term planning. But short-term and mid-term, yeah, we do that. Short-term supply, you can see in the power futures market. Mid-term planning, the UK had a big energy review a couple of years ago. Don't know if you knew that. And it was done too late because we had a Labour government and loads of their support came from the anti-nuclear lobby. But eventually, academics and industry started shouting, and it was in the mainstream press, you're going to run out in 10 years if you don't take an action. So they did this review, and surprise, surprise, mid-term, the UK is going to go down the nuclear route, which was the only realistic answer that there could have been. Nuclear power isn't that dangerous. I can think of no serious incident with a Western reactor, and you've got to balance the risk of an incident with the environmental downside of, say, a coal-fired power station piling out muck day in, day out. Yeah? Green energy just isn't there yet. You've got to be realistic. You can't let the UK's power fail because of ideology. That would be crazy, right? But directly answering your question, what's the solution short to mid-term? 10 years. For the UK at least, it's nuclear power. That's been decided. And I think it's a good choice. And it's going to totally fulfill our energy needs for the next 30 years. The shame is that we're only building enough to meet the UK's needs. I'd have been up for building more and selling it on the international grid. So it's going to be fine. It almost wasn't because of these anti-nuclear people. They kept delaying the review. So all these predictions about too many people, not enough power, could have almost happened. But not because of our inability to come up with a solution, but because ideologues were stopping science and industry doing what needed to be done. Okay, different topic. You mentioned employment. You said as technology moves forward, jobs get mechanised, therefore there won't be enough jobs. Are you ready for this? Okay, sit down, right? Sometimes it's good when people lose their jobs. It's a good thing when people lose their jobs. Let me give you a story, okay? I was in China and the guy shows me a room of 30 people making sausages by hand. And I can't believe this. And I said to him, this is ridiculous. One machine, an operator, could do all of this work. And his response was, but then 29 people wouldn't have jobs. And I'm like, but you'd have the same output, just much more efficiently. And he's like, it's the government's policy, everyone should have a job. Do you see, with thinking like that, an economy cannot move forward. it must become stuck, because there's no free labour to develop the next business, the next innovation. He was looking at it from a fixed point in time, and I think you're doing the same thing. It's the same thing you're doing with the resources. You look at it from a fixed point in time. What you're not seeing is the future, the other industries and businesses that those people will go on to work in. Those businesses don't exist yet, but they will if they're allowed to. This is how economies grow. Yeah, and I don't want to take away from the fact that psychologically losing your job is tough. I get that. But if you can get the same output using one guy in a machine to what 30 guys were doing without a machine, hey, you use the machine, right? Maggie Thatcher shut down the coal industry because it wasn't profitable. Very contentious, I know. But a lot of those people would have gone on to work in new industries, new profitable industries. The UK's mobile phone network, for example, the whole of the UK had to be mastered. Massive job. Companies like Vodafone were built. Without labour, that would not have been possible. If people are losing their jobs because of efficiency savings, getting the same output with less labour, that's not a bad thing in the bigger picture. Those people move on to jobs where their labour is more valued, new industries are built. This is how economies grow, yeah? You said at 9:42 of your video, you'd like me to acknowledge that if we go on doing things the same way, an increased population would be damaging. Right. This is the fundamental disagreement I have with you. This is my whole point. We won't carry on doing things the same. Absolutely guaranteed. We're developing so quickly. Read New Scientist from time to time. In the history of the world, we've never adapted as quickly as we are now. Looking at it from a fixed point is fundamentally wrong. And you said technological progress is being made at an alarming rate already. Technological progress is good, no? Alarming is not the word I would have chosen. We need more progress, yeah? And more people, provided that they're properly organised in a modern economy, and that is a proviso, we do need to be properly organised, but provided that, then more people should mean more progress. We just need to make sure that the extra bodies generate more value than they consume. But I don't think that's going to be a problem in a modern economy. I mean, it works in the West, clearly. We've generated fantastic wealth. If you look at living standards 100 years ago, it's crazy how much better off we are. See, it bothers me a bit when you say we're getting it wrong in so many ways now. Really? I mean, really? Life looks pretty good to me. A couple of 100 years ago, the middle classes ate meat once a week, and children cleaned chimneys by going down them, and sometimes they got stuck, and they were left there to die. I mean, you cannot deny that living standards have risen dramatically over the last couple of 100 years. That is an empirical fact. And living standards across the globe are rising. They aren't where we are, yet, but they're rising faster than ours did. Your middle class in India is somewhere about where we were 50 years ago. The whole world is coming up, and it's coming up quickly. How you can say the party's failing is beyond me. The party's just getting started, and you need to get the beers in. You said a bunch of stuff at the end. I didn't really get all of that. It's not bad to be conscious of rising populations. I didn't say it was. I don't give a shit about unborn sperm. I don't think that 9 billion is morally or ethically better than 6 billion. There's probably no right or wrong answer to what a population should be. It's subjective to some degree. I just think if people are worried that if the population doubles they'll have one less iPod, then they're wrong to worry. If the population doubles, you'll probably end up with 2 extra iPods. And it's not up to us anyway. Well, it shouldn't be up to us or anyone or any government. People will have the number of kids they want, and that seems to depend on their standard of living. So in Europe, reproduction rates are below replacement levels. So if you really want to stabilise the population, you should be advocating the Western economic model. Can I hear a capitalism for the win over here, please? Cool. Have a good one, and I like your hat.